Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Today I am going to talk about NEET exam. I am not talking about JEE, ECFMG and other exams which are conducted throughout the world for competitive exam to get into professional courses. But to me, all these examinations, whether you call it NEET, you call it JEE, you call it even ECFMG, are international exams, quote in quote, are highly defective. And if I've been asked by my student, if I, as a person who's talking are impeccable to the world, how many marks would I get into these particular concepts? I say multiple choice questions, the way they are asked, the kind of key they are given for answers, and the answer they expect. I, who's talking of Divyang for the first time in the history of mankind, who challenges the entire world, whatever mathematics we are talking about, whatever physics we are talking about, whatever chemistry we are talking about, whatever biology we are talking about, whatever the core value of everything we are talking about throughout the world, from school, college to the university, all the international journals, reputed and otherwise, quote in quote, are full of defects. And those defects are the root cause for all the failures everywhere. I've been keeping very low profile all these years, basically because I don't like to have any confrontation with anybody, but I've been sharing my knowledge ever since my young days. This is a golden opportunity for the world to learn and understand what could be the perfect questions, perfect answers, and perfect things. And I'm laying the foundation for impeccable wisdom for the entire world because I'm a Brahman who understands Brahman completely. I understand Nirgun Nirguna Brahman. I understand Sakar Sargun Brahman. I understand the way the nature was designed before creation, during creation, and after that. How the perfect object of the entire universe, from the solar system, higher galaxy, to the DNA, to even sodium, potassium, sodium chloride, or even atomic, elemental, molecular level. There is a pure science which Ved and Upanishads are talking about, has spoken about. And these are the Brahmins who gave that knowledge to Zoroastrians. Zoroastrian gave it to Arabs who converted it into man-made algebra, geometry, algorithm, and they taught the West, and West converted into man-made theorem, which we are using, which are full of defects. And all the inventions are only corrections of what is given. All the greatest scientists, whether they're Nobel laureates or other thing, they are just evolving scientists. They are not doing the truth science at all. They produce something, get a Nobel Prize, and someone comes and shows that it's defective. And that's exactly what I've been talking when making my videos of the Nobel laureates, greatest mathematicians, and what they've spoken, and how defective they have been. But this particular failure of NEET examination this time in India has forced me to bring forth those objectives with which we should teach the students. I do not want to find fault with any of the students for their failure, success, or otherwise. I do not want to find any issues with the teachers we have throughout the world, even the research scholars we have through intellectuals who have. I have respect for all the people who are learning to become Brahman on their own. And I'm not talking about Brahman by birth. I am talking about education, which is the domain of Brahmins. I'm not talking of anything political, otherwise, I'm talking about the core mathematical, physics, chemistry, biology, with which to understand and make ourselves perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy life. But in the context, there are three things which come to my mind which the world need to understand. First, very important, we need a uniform syllabus with a perfect, impeccable wisdom from school, college to the university throughout the world available to every student from which the question will be asked and which has the perfect answers. Number one, this is the area which is deficient throughout the world. And different schools from different things are talking about it. And I can tell you the premier institutes are the worst. I had the pleasure of going to given lectures in premier international level, and the teachers who claim themselves to know everything impeccable wisdom could not even answer two simple questions which I asked them. What is the difference between artery and vein? Defective. What are the prime function of respiratory system? Defective. Everything was defective. But nobody is prepared to change it because whole system is like that. Whole books are like that. We need to write books once again with impeccable wisdom which nobody can find and give this knowledge to every child throughout the world. I'm talking about throughout the world, every child from school, college to the university, which has a uniformity. Unless until we have a uniform syllabus, universe subject, and we understand concept of everything from A to Z by ourselves fully. And I cannot find fault with any student because I find every child equally potential. And I do not want to say that Brahmin by birth is the only capable. But there are certain things which Brahmins are known for. And since I am by Brahmin, I can understand the beauty of Brahmanism. And only Brahmins can be in tune with Brahman. But there are certain things which I will not talk about this. But we will talk only about the education on this particular part, which I want the world to understand. Second thing is, unless until we have uniform books for everybody, and the answer is uniform, we cannot evaluate. But for the evaluation, MC questions are okay. But before that, I would like people to have prepare themselves with essay questions. Short note with 10 points which people should know of all the 64 arts. And we should have the knowledge of everything. But if you're going to be a NEET, for them, physics, chemistry, and biology is good enough. 50% for biology, 25 for physics, 25 for chemistry is more than enough. If it is going to be JEE, it could be mostly mathematics, 50%, physics and chemistry, 25%, fine. And we can leave it to the professional part. I'm not interested in political issues and other issues because there it is dynamism. I'm not at all interested. But I'm interested in two subjects. One is the medical profession because I want every doctor to talk of preventive medicine, curtailing aging, and reversing aging. And I want all the engineers to produce inventions in the world which are perfect. We should not do things only trial and error, what has been going on ever since the science has. I'm not condemning Western science. I'm not contesting modern science. I'm only saying it's an evolutionary process. We should come to the impeccable wisdom and teach the world impeccable wisdom. In that light, I would like to share my own experience since my childhood till today, how I have come to the impeccable wisdom one by one, facing different things at different stages. Let me start with it. First, my dharma, my duty is impeccable wisdom, which you cannot find fault. My greatest discovery is Divyang, the divine design of nature, which is a perfect object. Now, keeping Divyang and Akhandata in mind, I'm going to explain my life and explain the core value things. I'm not going to dynamism because it's a very vast subject. But some of the things which are important, let me share with my life. How did I reach this particular level? This is symbolic representation. Divyang is converted into symbolic represent this. Their outer thing is 22 by 21, and you can see 10 centers, you can see 5 digits, you can see the all ratios. And here I'm going to make it very clear. If you're looking at the universal consciousness, only thing which can come to my mind is golden ratio. But the golden ratio is not as perfect as should be because man-made. It has two values, 1.618, which is too simple. Another is 1.6180343399, as it goes on, which is infinite, which they're talking about infinite number. Both are defective. Perfect value is 1.618034. And this is what Akhand talks about it. This is what Divyang talks about it. And this is what the world needs to rectify all the problems which we have with man-made mathematics, man-made physics, man-made chemistry, man-made biology. We need divine mathematics, divine physics, divine chemistry, and divine biology. And that is the center of my life ever since my young days. We talk of rishis. Maharishis, Brahmarishis, and I talk of Akhand Rishi. All the person who understands all the 64 arts is actually Rishi. Others are just students, but to reach Akhandata, you have to be Akhand Rishi. I've spoken about it. You can see my other videos till it. Prime objective of every life is my concern. I'm a medical doctor and I want every human being to live perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy life for generations to come and be dynamic even in 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s and live for generations and be as young as 21 all through. They should be perfectly physically healthy, emotionally stable, mentally powerful, spiritually integrated, and part and parcel of the universal consciousness. Very lovely, loving person, not isolated from the world. That's it. And when it comes to the question of knowledge, and I'm very clear, we should have data, information, knowledge of all the 64 arts. We should have the philosophical knowledge. We should have a scientific knowledge. We should have a mathematical knowledge. We should have relative knowledge. We should have absolute wisdom. We should have enlightenment. We should have integration. We should know A to Z of everything completely. All in brain, not from copycat. Rote sense does not make. And whatever I'm talking is from my experience of last 70 years and nothing less than that, and that's it. Now, let me talk about my school days. I was born and brought up in Katra, Jammu and Kashmir, studied in government school. But one thing which I want at this particular juncture to understand, I'm a born mathematician and artist. I knew all the divine mathematics at my fingertips. Whatever would be the question by anyone to ask, and I would give immediate answers without even knowing. And that stage, everybody did not realize how do I know. But I do know human brain is the greatest evolution. It is capable of one with that. And we can immediately get, provided we are in tune with universal consciousness. That's one part. I do not want to go into details of my experience on spiritual science, which were there before I started talking about it. That I have already done. We can go back to that. But that is what it was. And as a result, I wanted to do research in abstract mathematics. But luckily, something happened, which I'm going to show now, which changed my life from abstract mathematics and came to medical education. And of course, there's one lecture which I would like to talk about it. When I joined Katra school, this particular Hitopadesh thing is my first lesson in the world. Vidya dadati vinyam vinyat yati patatam patatam cha dhanam cha dharam cha sukham. If you want comfort, life, dharma, righteousness through the world peace, only way is perfect, impeccable wisdom. Nothing other than that. And I'm glad I learned that when I was hardly 7, 8, or 10 years of age in Katra school. But now I'm going to talk about it. It was in 1964. By the time I wanted to become a mathematician and come out with a research of highest order. But I'm glad I did not take. I left mathematics at that stage. I did not take up to algebra, geometry, and modern mathematics. It would have been my mess and life on the whole. My father had a paralytic stroke. He did not recover, but he left with, he could not speak, he could not work, he did not work. You can see my father's picture, and you can see my picture too. Hence, I decided what I'm going to do with mathematics. Let me take it to medicine and treat every patient as if I'm treating them as my father or mother, just for love of it, not with any financial constraint or otherwise. 30 years I practiced without charging even one paisa fees from anything. As a matter of fact, gave it to the people just for the love of it, because I do know if you are intelligent, working, there will always be great people who will come and give you, pay you abundantly without you asking for it. My life is full of that. I am physically healthy, abundantly rich. I am a crorepati. I don't need money from anybody. I only learn to give, and give. I don't have to charge for myself because my work is impeccable wisdom. It's unmol. It cannot be priced. And I just give it. And everything comes to me when I go after Saraswati Lakshmi automatically. That is what I learned in school. Now, since Katra was 8th standard and deficiencies, and I had to get into medical college, there was no other go other than move on to a school which is known for producing ranks. I realize I am a Brahmin by birth. Reservation possibly is the biggest problem for me to get into one of the two seats into medical college after my 11th standard. So I had no other go move from Katra to Jammu. In Katra school, I was the only one who had 91% marks, and this is where I learned if you want to be an excellent student, you should have fantastic profile. You should be good in every subject. And if you can get 90 plus, even during those days in essays, was phenomenal. Between me and the second in my class in Katra was 300 out of 100 marks, was phenomenal. Then I came to Jammu, Shri Ranveer Multilateral Higher Secondary School, which was known to have golden sections, which is used to train students for top position in Jammu and Kashmir Board of Secondary Education, so that I could prepare, school could prepare me, and I could get first position with the record marks. As a result, I become the natural nominee for one of the two seats, or the first seat for medical college was my idea. With that, I moved from Katra to Jammu. But there was, I'm one thing I'm very glad when you're an honest, truthful person, you'll find face everywhere. But unfortunately, every part of the world, favoritism is there. Likes and dislikes are there. This is my son, this is this attraction, hatred has been the root cause of the whole world. Honesty and everything is just not heard. But as a result, I got 728 out of 800 marks in Katra, and I came to this school. By virtue of that, I was put into medical seat earlier. Then principal said, you are the top student, you should come to golden section, which was 9A. And when I came to golden section, since I had the maximum marks, I was made the monitor. It was a natural process because it's a top student who gets the position. But things were going pretty well for 3 years. 3 months. But one day, one chemistry student punished a student, and somehow the teacher's father and my farm teacher had personal problems. So, teacher called Narsiman wanted me to complain to the principal that teacher is defective, and I refused. That I said no, teacher is right. He has punished him rightly. He needs a complaint. There's nothing to do, and I refuse to convey the message to principal. As a matter of fact, to principal, I told it very clearly. That teacher is not wrong, and form teacher is absolutely rubbish. But the result is, I was summarily dismissed as a monitor and teacher unpurchasable for next 9 months. Form teacher who was teaching mathematics and English refused to correct my papers, and I was made to understand by everybody, you go to him, take a tuition in his soil, pay from your pocket, things will be fine. I said, this is not what I mean. All these coaching institutions throughout the world are highly defective. And I said, this, after coming to thee and seeing Golden, I said, it's bloody hodgepodge. They are doing nothing, but they're only charging and making you rut and produce something which is of no use at all. Then Law of Divine Justice 1966. The principal ordered centralized evaluation because my form teacher refused to correct my papers. And as a result, I got record breaking marks in 9th standard. And that's it. But then I was put into a medical section, which is not a golden section, 10A. And principal wanted me to join golden section 10K, and Shri Surya Prakash Rana, the form teacher of medical section 10A, requested me not to move out. He says, stay back. It is not the golden section which matters. It is the student which matters. Teachers could be anything. As long as student is inquisitive, is listening very carefully, reflecting, and knows how to remember, reproduce, that is the person who needs to can work anywhere and everywhere all these coaching institutions and things are bloody rubbish. You stay back, will produce. That's no golden section which is important. It is the student which is important, not the teacher. Any teacher is good because the whole thing is almost similar. But students should have the capacity to take, cream out, analyze it, and give the world the impeccable wisdom, which cannot be taught by any other institution, any of these mugging things. Throughout the world, whatever training program is going rubbish. No wonder all these trainings only squeezing the parents of the money and getting nothing in the process. And maybe that's the reason I am talking about it. We need to rise and make a uniform syllabus for the entire world without any single defect. But what is the result? 10th exam, I wrote the first board exam. I broke all the records at the board itself. Between me and the second student, the difference you are going to see. But there is one lesson which I learned in 10th K. In 9th, one of the students who was very mediocre, he happened to sit next to me. His name was Arun Kumar. Whatever I learned, I taught him. I literally became my student, maybe first line, and that is where I learned. सरस्वती के भंडार में बड़ी अपूर्व बात, ज्यों ज्यों खर्चे त्यों त्यों बढ़े बिन खर्चे घटियात. That means treasure of Saraswati knowledge is phenomenal. More and more you spend, more and more it grows. The result was I got record-breaking 532 marks in the higher secondary core examination of Jammu and Kashmir board, and Arun Kumar got 504. Person who was very mediocre, below average in 9th standard, becomes second in the board with this mark, and no one other than we two were in 500 marks. I am grateful to Surya Prakash Rana and my other teachers from whom I learnt the intricacies by raising good questions and moving on. That was it. Now, in this particular result gazette from 1967, you can see the golden section, which is on top before me, is absolutely rubbish. And for I stand the first position, Arun stands the second position. You can see it very clearly. But my name was Shiv Bhushan Sharma, which changed to Shiv Bhushan Sharma due course because my original name is Bhushan. Done. But then I did 11th. I again broke all the records and got the maximum marks. As a result, school gave me a transfer certificate as an exemplary student. I wonder how many students in the world at school level have a conduct and character example who are example by themselves, who cannot be compared with anybody. And this goes back to my school itself. I am privileged that principal teachers knew this boy is out of the world. You can challenge him. If he says, I'm going to do it, he will do it. He'll produce the results which are not seen in the books. For me, the knowledge was not there. It is from my own thinking, whether it's right or wrong. And I added my own dimension, giving all what was given, and then added new dimension as a result in my essays. Everybody had to give me extra marks because I gave the answer which they were looking for. I also gave the answer which is much better than they were looking for. I literally started writing books in school itself. That is the turning point which I want every student in the world to know. We are all capable of doing, provided we bring the capacity of thinking, analyzing, and then deleting by defects. We'll come to impeccable wisdom, provided we think. For that, all the memory should be in the brain 24/7. Now, then after 11th, I had to get into medical college. When I went for the interview for the exam, the board told me not to insist on it, go for 12th standard and go to medical college in North. And I said, no. Today I have the maximum marks. I have broken in 10th, I have broken in 11th. There's no one in the whole of Jammu and Kashmir who is even fraction anywhere close to me. I deserve the first seat. I should be given a seat and done it. As a result, I got my nomination as the first successful candidate for medical course in Tamil Nadu in July itself. And I left for Chennai in July 1968 itself. Then my first college was Loyola. But since I came in July, I am to talk about it. My second candidate who come from Jammu and Kashmir, what happened in little due course. But Loyola College was the first thing we had to do pre-medical education, higher English, physics, chemistry, and biology. It is one of the premier institutes of the world, and particularly India is definitely one, and had the privilege of learning and mastering every subject from the experts in every science. I was very friendly. The result is I had the pleasure of getting distinction and double distinction first time on top of it. But at this juncture also I would say the reservation policy, the student who came by reserve policy all failed in first year itself. That was my first learning. This reservation does not help. This is a medical profession which we need intelligent student to work for the world's preventive medicines. We cannot give it to the people who don't deserve it. It should be given only to the privileged students, not by anybody else. Reservation of A to Z is defective. My life is standing on that. Then first medical college was in Madras Medical College, and I'm glad that I learned all the subjects very clearly from A to Z in detail as an undergraduate, as a postgraduate. Even my PhD is all connected with Madras Medical College. I'll not go into detail, but it prepared me for the impeccable wisdom which I'm talking about. I had the privilege of learning perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry from the internationally acknowledged books like Gray's Anatomy and Best and Taylor, which had no defects at all. But unfortunately, all the books which we teach today, I do not know the world, but in India are pathetic to the core. Every page you find a defect. They don't even know what is right, what is not. As I told you, difference with artery and vein. They say arteries carry oxygenated, veins carry deoxygenated, which is defective. And this respiration, so that every definition which is given in our books, for reason known to me, all the professors who have written are full of defects A to Z, and I find it difficult to teach my students, but I do make my presentation with impeccable wisdom and tell you what is the defect and what is not defect. I learned that in Madras Medical College as an undergraduate, as a postgraduate, as a doctorate degree, and I'm glad that it was a good preparation. Now I'm giving the picture of my Madras Medical College. We are the 4 students staying in 2 rooms in the hostel, you can see. The first candidate on the left side is Abdul Ahad Bhatt, who is a Kashmiri Pandit. He was nominated for the second seat much later than that. I reached Chennai in July. I had to wait for more than 1 month to get orders for nomination. When I got the order for nomination, it was Chingalpet Medical College. That's a time when I went to Director of Medical Education, and Professor Subramaniam, who the professor of microbiology at Madras Medical College, was sitting. And I told him I come all the way to get into Premier Institute Madras Medical College to prepare myself with the impeccable wisdom. I do not want to go to new college, Chingalpet Medical College, come what may. I've come all the way and I need this. You have to give it to me. There is no other go. They were kind enough to give me that much. But as a result, I got seat even for Abdul Ahad Bhatt, who remained my classmate throughout. We are even closest friend today. And that's one lesson which I want to give it. When you are clear that you want impeccable wisdom, you'll find the impeccable wisdom. That's it. Your intention. But my problem with everybody has been, I've been saying we are perfect ones. And everybody says there is nothing called perfection. It's full of defects. I said, no. Perfection is possible. And that is what is my message for me to the world. If we believe we are the perfect ones, we are the greatest creation, we can do wonders. I'm glad in 1974 I designed this particular symbol, and this is where I started learning about ancient Indian wisdom and symbolic language which India was talking about. This was specially designed by me as a 3.5 part. It talks about pi and also the first stage of creation. That's something which I'll not go into. I've already gone into detail to explain this. And 1980, I started a pharmaceutical industry called Akhand, and this is a symbol which is again on Divyang. And idea of running Akhand Vidyashram to produce high quality medicine at the lowest price for my patients and of course other poor patients who can get the excellent quality at lowest price. And I did that for 25 years, from 1980 to 2005. And my practice from 1975 to 2005 was impeccable wisdom of the highest order. These prepared me very well. But after 2000, my first son left for America for higher education. His point was, we Brahmins will not get in India. I need to go to America for higher education and learn to be good in everything. My second son got seat for MS PhD in North Carolina with a national scholarship of 15 lakhs per year, and he went out to Harvard University for postdoctor and is doing extremely well in America. My first son is Canada. Both of them left India in 2004. That's the time I took a decision, enough of this. Now I need to concentrate on spiritual science. Now I am going to go into the ancient Indian wisdom. And by that time, I'm already initiated into Kundalini Yoga, and that's it. And in 1992, after my initial simplified, I made this particular picture. This was a phenomenal turning point to understand between Shakta and Shakti, or Shiv and Shakti, and its mathematical design with which ancient Indian Brahmins spoke about divine mathematics to the world. I'll not go, I've already explained, I'll not go into detail. Now, then 1995 to 2001, I did my PhD work in Madras University after Kundalini Yoga. And what is amazing in this particular thing was, I was the first person in the entire universe who is able to produce 8 hertz frequency of alpha throughout the brain, all the 64 channels with eyes open, and 8.5 hertz with eyes closed, which no one has done. As a result, I challenge the entire neurosciences who say you can produce 10.5 hertz with eyes closed. But when you open the eyes and do mental thinking, it is beta. This is what they teach. I said, no, I'm able to produce it. That was, as a result, my PhD work was called Highly Commended Unusual Things, given by American examiners from Brooklyn and others. Was a very turning point. That was the reason why I took a decision. I've done enough for pharmaceutical company. I've done enough as a medical doctor. This anyone can do it. But the spiritual science work cannot be done by anybody else. And I'm glad that my full family, everybody left to America, and I was alone. And 2005, I decided that I started a new life altogether. And this is the credential which Professor A. Namachwai, who is one of the greatest physiologists and scientists with a lot of awards to his credit, greats, he has given very clearly to me that entire research of PhD is done by Shiv Bhushan Sharma alone. He is capable of starting from any scratch, take the research to the conclusion which nobody can find fault. And he has also gone EEG in this is done for the first time. Results are phenomenal. A to Z, it's only because of Shiv Bhushan Sharma. Thanks to him, he's put it on record for me to show to the world, if you are good, you are focused, you are looking for impeccable wisdom, and you are sincere in everything, you will find impeccable wisdom, whether you like it or don't like it. This is a natural process. Your thoughts and actions only lead to the work. Without producing results, cannot. But at this juncture, let me tell you, to start with, in 93 and 95, I could produce only 10.5 hertz with eyes closed without thinking. But transformation came after that when I started learning the art of chakras and netting. And that's the time I realized that 7 chakra is not right. It is 10.344. That was another enlightening experience, which is there in my work. And this is a picture with eyes closed, taken at a later date. You can see 8.5 hertz throughout the brain. This is with eyes open, 8 hertz, which is done in a research laboratory in Chetnad University Neurological Lab, and analyzed and presented, which no one in the world has ever done before me. Now comes the question of university of excellence. Now I'm going to bring one point which I think India government has taken very clearly. We need to bring university excellence at the university level, not mediocre universities. We should become the best. And that process goes back to Atal Bihari Vajpayee and his minister Murli Manohar Joshi, who was education minister. He wrote a letter to all the universities, including Madras University, and Madras University created a committee under the chairmanship of Professor Inucha, who was my guide, and I was a co-opted member. And we had a detailed discussion, how can university be an excellence? And my contribution is still considered great, and that's it. I will leave it at this juncture. People can leisurely read my details otherwise. And 2002, I wrote my first book, Akhand and Essence. It's the bridge between science and spirituality, masterpiece by itself. But this was done by Vikas Publishing, but I took back the entire thing because they did certain mistakes in printing. Akhand means flawless. So I took it, no, anything which is defective will not be allowed. I took it back. I have the copyrights and done with it. Then after 2005, I decided that's enough. I got to move on with spiritual science research. So my first move was to leave Chennai and go to Bangalore. And I thought the best institute for research is NIMHANS, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore is known for it. I approached the director, I approached the Department of Physiology. As a matter of fact, they were building up new EEG lab with power spectrum analysis of the highest order. And Dr. Bindu, Professor Bindu was there. She was personally did EEG for me and gave me the results that I have fantastic EEG power in my mind. But unfortunately, director did not agree to give me a postdoctoral research, even 10,000 rupees per month. So the reason very clear, our whole system of education research is very defective. They could not recognize this is a person who's a medical professional, impeccable wisdom of Harriet, broken all the records. His PhD is highly commendable, unusual. For them, that doesn't matter. They, and it's pathetic. As a result, I had to literally could not find place. I had to move out. As a result, on the recommendation of Dr. Karan Singh, he said, you go to Sri Mata Vaishno University, ask the Vice Chancellor, you might be able to find a place over there for your research further. On the recommendation of Dr. Karan Singh, who was actually the Prince of Jammu and Kashmir, my home state, and I've known him personally, I came there, met, and Professor N.K. Bansal gave him the book, and within 5 minutes said, you come and join as a visiting associate professor, and you can start your work the way you want. That was my turning point. You can see the university, you can see me sitting there along with other colleagues of mine. But first 3 months, I did not know what to do and what not to do because I'm a medical doctor with spiritual sciences in a totally technical university, which is talking of science, engineering, management, and otherwise. There's no medical college, so no much issues at all. But then I got a golden opportunity. They were conducting the first youth festival in 2006. And they requested me, can I sponsor a souvenir for that? When that was an opportunity, I said, I would do it. My charitable trust, Akhand Foundation, will do it. But I have a one condition, I want to design everything by myself. And nobody is going to ask me question. I'll pay from my pocket and give you the product which will be unique. And this is the product which I made. In this picture, they were having 5 sets of students, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. And I represent all that in this particular picture. And when I explained this concept to the Vice Chancellor during inauguration, 80% he talked only about this symbol which I had done and done. But in this picture also you can see the symbol of the university at that stage. You can see it down. But first significant thing which I was, you can see the symbol. I converted then because I contribution this, I was made the member of the editorial board. But then I was asked to become the editor. As editor, when I wanted to discuss, I found all the members of editorial boards all quote and called bloody dumbos of the highest order, know nothing. All they want to do is copycat and represent. Nobody has original idea to do it. That's the time I told Vice Chancellor, you really want to do wonders? Make me one man editorial board and I will represent to you, we will do wonders. And this is what was done in the annual report of 2006 to 7, prospects and everything. As a result, I was made the first. Then I was made the first chairman of the university publication. As a result, I was made the dean of the students. And as a member of executive committee, debate committee, everything. I literally, within a span of 2.5 years, I literally became number 2 in the university, which I wonder anybody else would have ever done. But my intention was only impeccable wisdom, nothing other than that. Then there are two contribution things which I did by the grace of Mata Vaishno Devi. I wrote two books, The Living Divine Mother in 2008 and Mata Vaishno Devi. And these books reveal that goddess Durga reincarnation is Mata Vaishno Devi. She was born in Kanyakumari as Vaishnavi. She moved to Rameshwaram to meet Ram and then came to Trikuta to do further austerities or tapasya, what she is doing there. Then something happened between me and the vice chancellor and all the community. They were not very happy that one man could dominate editorial. Even today, everything is done in this, start with my production. Even today is considered to be remarkable. But then politics is politics. And as a result, I was made to leave that tincture for no fault of mine, but I would not compromise. I left Katra, came back to Chennai, and then joined Chettinad University as this. And I can tell you, in Chettinad, I was admitted as a tutor with 35,000 thing in February 2009. Within 7 years, I became a professor with a contribution which is unheard of in medical profession. And medical council also gave me a promotion. Your qualifications, your experience, your research and publication, you're fit enough to become a professor. As a result, in 2014, I was promoted as associate, and 2016 I was made into professor full-fledged, which was phenomenal in any form. Then when I started teaching medical students in the Department of Physiology, my emphasis was always on horizontal integration as well as vertical integration. One of the things which is greatest contribution of mine in the university is this particular picture of female menstrual cycle. Is a copy of that where I'm challenging all the knowledge throughout the world, from school, college to the university, is defective. As a one man, I've challenged the entire world. You are defective. You are talking of bleeding for 5 days, proliferation for 8 days, ovulation in 13 days is defective. This is a perfect one. Is the first challenge to the entire medical profession that you have not been doing enough thinking in medical profession. And of course, entire anatomy, physiology, biochemistry is defective. I've shown that, and all my teachers, students have done extremely well thereafter. And this is also discussion which I've done in other thing, how we analyze things in class to take things to the level which is unheard of. You see in my earlier videos. Then also explained how atoms become anions and cations and what they think and what kind of divine mathematics is there is something which you can see in this particular picture. And second question which I raised very well, B double helix by James Watson and Crick is good, but the perfect is this particular model. And here I revealed something which is not revealed by anyone in the world till today. That's another challenging thing. This is a perfect double helix, which I call deviant, which is there in my videos. Then, of course, this is what I showed, that nucleotides, adenine and thymine, and glycine and cytosine have the same number of protons, which is amazing. No one in the world has done it. We can do it provided we have in us the thinking mind. Then exemplary international things I've done wonderful in this university, which will always remember for the rest of my life. There is no doubt about it. Then I have the guy as a guide and student. I have taught student how to create records one by one in the world. And two of student, Prasanna Priya Naik and Kirtana, are two examples I have spoken. And I think with that, I move on. And of course, my recommendation to the world is you got to have a create uniform syllabus for everything without any defect. You should have answers and analysis, essay form, and then maybe MCQs. But it should be so uniform and independent without any transparency, everything. And you should have perfect answers, perfect questions by the central government, and that is required. With that, I come to the end. I think this is enough for the day for people to think this need come as a crisis is for impeccable wisdom. And this video should be taken by everyone in the world to see what is required for next generation to be medical doctors who prevent problems, who lead to curtailing of aging and reverse of aging. We need such doctors, intelligent doctors, not the one who know nothing and done with it. And with that, I end. Thank you very